Now there's a strategy to blind calling. What is blind calling? Blind calling is when there's a deer is not visible, okay? But you're calling and you're trying to do something to bring a deer to your location. Now, there's lots of strategy that is built around blind calling. We talked about seasonal calling earlier, and keep that in mind. In the different parts of the seasons, you may do different calling scenarios. But basically, blind calling is calling when there's no deer in sight and you're trying to convince them that this is the place to be. Or maybe you're trying to give them a reason. Hey, you need to be here. There's a reason to be here. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing your blind calling. Now, there's so many ways that you can call without a deer in your area to make them think that they need to be there or this is the place to be. But one of the most important things that you need to consider, there's two actually. One is, where's your scent and how is your scent impacting where a deer is and where they're going to be coming in at, okay? You pick your stand based off that because you think a deer is actually bedding in a certain area or feeding in a certain area or coming somewhere to go feed in a certain area. So you're playing your wind accordingly. But to be honest with you, when you're blind calling and you're bringing in deer to a location, they're going to come in and the first thing they're going to utilize is their nose to make sure that this is the real deal or it's safe, okay? So scent control is everything. If you have poor scent control or if you have bad scent control or if you convince a deer to come into an area where scent from you or where you're at gets to their nose, you're done before you can even get started. So that's how important scent and scent control is. So understand the wind directions and understand where you want to point your calling scenario so that when that deer with the directional hearing, those radar ears, they know exactly where that sound is coming from. Point it into an area where you would want that deer to go, not necessarily downwind, because instinctively they're going to want to come in downwind to see if there's any danger there before they actually walk in and commit. I can't stress how important that is the directional calling and the realism that you can create with a buck, trailing a doe across a ridge. Boom, boom, boom. Point your call right where that deer would be doing that. So now you're giving it kind of a realistic, creating that illusion of an actual deer crossing that ridge. The doe, make sure when she's making her sounds or whatever it is, that she's not in an area where they're going to come in downwind. If you're doing a fawn bleat and you want to focus on distress, you would directionally call in an area in a deadfall where that doe isn't able to see where the fawn is. So she can't see where that sound is coming from. She knows there's something down there that's not good necessarily for the fawn. And then the fawn is doing this distress down there. That's going to bring her in. She's got to come and look and see what's going on. Okay? That's how important directional calling is. Now, if you have poor scent control, none of this matters. You don't need a call. You don't need nothing. You might as well not even be out hunting, because if they can smell you, it's over before you even get started. They're smelling you from areas where you can't even see. You can't even detect that they're around. And when I say scent control, a deer's nose is so sensitive. We go in the house and we smell pizza. Oh, pizza tonight. A deer goes in there and they pick out the pepperoni, they pick out the spice, the oregano, they pick it all out by detail. They're wetting that nose constantly. That's the way they stay alive. And that's why scent control is so important. Now, we've also created a scent control system that's unlike anything that's ever been invented. And what it does is it targets the exact molecules from the human body. And see, that's when you can tell a deer smells a human. When a deer walks downwind and smells human odor, if you broke a sweat, you've seen it. Tail up, gone. I mean, you didn't know deer could blow out of there that quick. They identify that as danger, and that's the human molecules that they can pick out, that they know is danger. Now, if you had a cover scent or something like that, they may be confused, they may smell something. But they're not going to blow out of there like that because they're identifying something different. Well, it's not a human. What is that? They may be curious. Who knows what the scenario is? But the human body odor, if you can neutralize that, it just increases your odds of communicating and bringing that deer in and getting them to do exactly what you want. And that's where the phase body odor system comes in. It's a complete system that neutralizes all the different molecules that the human body gives off. And it's something that if you really want to go to a whole nother and hunt next level, you need good scent control with phase, you need to understand how to communicate, and you need to get out there and experience real live deer interaction.